Welcome to the Kinetic Life Podcast, brought to you by Kinetic Renew.
This podcast is dedicated to helping you find your way to your dreams, your goals, and your success. We'll be fueling that with key information on topics like health, science, tech, and lifestyle, coated with a few laughs along the way.
In this episode, would you rather eat bacteria or the virus that kills them? Microbe Robocop. They built it, but can they control it? Virovore, the next great predator. Weird science. Advanced technology uses a robotic tongue for better tasting, creamier chocolate. Plus a few tips and tricks to help you on your journey. And now we begin. Here's Michael Chalavutis and Dr. Mark Hertzberg.
Hello and welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Kinetic Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Chalavutis, with my good friend, Dr. Mark Hertzberg.
That is me over here, but we've been through that already.
Let's get things started with a little bit of electricity.
I feel the electricity in the air. Lightning, in fact. Greased lightning.
Lightning and lasers.
Lightning.
What's cooler than that? I don't know.
Lightning and lasers. What else begins with L? Lasers can control lightning.
Well, that's what the new research is showing.
The new research?
Well, originally, lightning for years has been, I guess, curtailed or redirected through lightning rods.
Some measure of control. The idea is lightning looks for the easiest path, electricity, the easiest path to it's heading in a general direction, which is down, grounded, and it will always take the path of least resistance. So, Ben Franklin came up with the idea of giving it a metal rod, an extremely good conductor, putting it on top of the very flammable buildings of the time, and any lightning in that general area, its path of least resistance would be the rod instead of anything on the house or the tree next to it that could fall into it, and it would then be led through wires to the ground. So,
but the problem with that is that rod maybe covers, I think, from a redirect, let's say about 10 square meters they talked about. But if you're trying to protect an airport or a much larger area, you need a lot of lightning rods or something that's even higher up. Or
can reach further. It's very hard to build a 2-mile tall lightning rod and its width. But there's another way to entice the lightning to you.
So I believe this was in France. They did this study. I think it was one of the mountains in the Swiss Alps.
Well, that would be Switzerland.
Alps.
It's not important. People can look it up. Scientists someplace discovered that.
They used a high energy laser that I believe had like an energy burst every 1 second, and they put it shot straight in the air above the lightning rod. And they found that
instead of a lightning rod.
No, but they had the lightning rod there as well.
But they were going for miles, not feet.
Yes. No, of course. And they found that it increased the range of the lightning rod that was there because it redirected it towards the lightning rod, but instead of having a 10 square meter coverage, it was over 500 square meters.
But ultimately, you don't need the lightning rod.
Correct.
The way this works is basically, what's a lightning rod? A lightning rod is a conductor, which means it's something that the electricity moves through better than the air around it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the laser ionizes the air it's going through. What that means is it knocks electrons off, so they're kind of free. What does electricity like? Free electrons. That's how it moves. So they make this corridor around the laser, and the lightning just loves it. That's a couple-mile free ride.
Yeah.
Downhill all the way.
Protects a much larger area. And, you obviously need a consistent power source, but if you're trying to protect a big building or city, it makes sense. You'll have that power source to protect it. But they actually, in the video, which we'll add the link to the podcast, but they showed the lightning actually bend towards the direction of the laser, so they're able to redirect it. Which it's like Zeus. Now we're controlling the lightning.
Well, that's the thing where we need mad scientists, Ro. They were just saying that lightning coming at you, in general, you can make it go to a specific point. But for years, people have wondered about the science fiction, military spending, just people being nervous about directed energy bolts of shooting electricity as a weapon. And one reason that you taser somebody is a moderate amount of electricity can knock someone or disable someone instead of killing them, like Star Trek's phasers on stun. But if you take anything that produces a huge amount of electricity, you have no idea where it's going. It could go... It doesn't even have to go generally forward. You could shoot what you think is an electric gun, and it can shoot at you or behind you. So you have you can't control the boat like Zeus in the pictures controls it. That's why the taser sends wires. They're like the lightning rods, and they take the electricity towards where they end. Of course, there's also a limit on how that, because you got to get the wires there, they got to stay there, and they can only handle so much electricity. Well, nobody mentioned it here, but if I wanted to build a powerful lightning thrower to, I don't know, attack cities until Superman comes and saves them from the evil mad scientist, what if I combined it with a laser where I would shoot the laser at the target, not unlike taking rifles with laser aimers.
Yeah, laser guided.
Okay, but this guy, instead of the laser showing me where I'm going to shoot the bullet, this literally will pull the lightning bolt along. You then have this big electric charge, and it will follow the laser's ionized trail to the target. I should now be giving a real mad scientist...
The Kinetic Life podcast is sponsored by KINETIQ Renew. KINETIQ Renew is a 4-ounce shot of all natural ingredients that deliver some amazing benefits, like improved mental clarity, long and short-term focus, and improved memory and cognition. Plus, KINETIQ Renew improves mood with the added benefits of anti-stress and anti-anxiety. Here's what people are saying.
I drink a bottle of KINETIQ Renew, and I'm in a better mood. It's like waking up on the right side of the bed. It's great.
My mental focus is clearly better.
I do notice that I have better clarity. Definitely improves my mood for sure. It reduces my stress.
Visit KineticLife.com today. Log on now and use promo code POD1 for 30% off. That's 30% off your order when you use promo code POD1. KineticLife.com. KINETIQ Life.com. Do it now. You're going to love KINETIQ Renew.
Mark, it's a microbe eat microbe world out there.
So you're just taking the violence down to a smaller scale.
Well, yes, of course.
Oh.
It's micro violence.
And yet, if you add up the mass of all the microbes in the world, it's much greater than all of the living animals and plants you can see. So you're really expanding the violence subtly.
Shh. Don't tell anyone.
And they say, I'm the mad scientist here.
So, instead of spraying plants with a antibiotic or some sort of pesticide to kill the microbes to reduce, listeria and E. coli outbreaks, a new spray has been created using microbeads and bacteriophages, which are viruses that attack bacteria.
Right, and the microbeads are made out of these viruses that attack bacteria. So those viruses, they just attack everything and everyone. They'll get their comeuppance one day, or one article, or something. But can you tell us more about the elegance of this formulation?
Well, I mean, bacteriophages, or these specific virus that they're talking about, bacteria is just kind of an umbrella term, but attack not all bacteria.
You mean you can get a virus specific to a bacteria you want to get rid of?
Correct.
And leave the other bacteria alone. Are you a good bacteria or a bad bacteria?
Well, in these situations, I'm trying to find the name of the virus that they used here.
The name of the virus? You might... No, they just said bacteriophage.
Yeah, they don't, of course, they don't give...
It's just a phage they're going through.
But it is a plan to use for industrial use, specifically to attack salmonella and listeria. Listeria, actually, if you've ever seen a video of listeria on the micro level, it shoots holes in cells, mostly cells in your gut, which then give you diarrhea. Not a good time.
Especially when, according to another episode, there are microphones listening for that.
Yes. Yeah, if you ever take a second and look up listeria under a microscope.
The episode before this one, episode 14.
Listeria is a scary little bug, and it just gives you the runs. Usually, it's food-based.
Listeria, that sounds like Listerine. Is Listerine supposed to attack Listeria?
No, that gives you fresh breath.
Oh. Lysol. Nope, that's about lysosomes cutting things open. Okay.
So, industrial use, spray foods, lettuce, etc. to help, curtail the spread of, salmonella and listeria and other, bacteria that were food-based and harmful. But, which I think it's an amazing application. The question is, does it have any impact on your gut biome?
But also, would you rather eat the bacteria or the virus that killed the bacteria?
Short answer, I would say the bacteria, if our choices are having salmonella the short answer, I would say that bacteriophage and or the virus over the bacteria.
I don't usually like eating viruses or bacteria, but when you deep fry them...
Oh, yeah. Pan-sear it, a little bit of garlic, some parsley. Wonderful.
Good eating.
I guess the question, like any, applicant to food, how much, if you're in abundance of intake of it, how does it affect your own gut? I understand it's specific bacteriophage, but you have a pretty prevalent gut microbiome. There might be some similarities of a good bacteria in your gut to maybe a salmonella, and depending on what it's targeting.
And if they have nothing to target, well, again, also, how long do these viruses survive? Are they, once they've killed off the bacteria there, what happens to them? Do they then start changing their menu if there's nothing for them to eat that they'll attack? Or do they just die off at that point?
Well,
you must assume that there is some limiting factor that's being tested, because they would have mentioned in the article if these things could go on, because if they stay around for having nothing to eat, they will change.
Yeah, at first I was like, you just hit everything with a little bit of UV, because most of the viruses are pretty weak in that and they'll deteriorate, but I guess it's all virus dependent, and you're going to hit the vegetables with UV after you just sprayed it with something? Probably not.
Yeah, especially this, since then more bacteria can come on. What you need is, therefore, I guess, a tanning spa for the bacteria in your gut biome. So they have their own little UV lights to turn on when viruses.
Yeah, but then it also fry the current bacteria. So interesting technology. It makes sense on paper. I would be very curious to see what more research shows from at least human application. I do not want to be the human they're testing it on their gut. But we shall see what the future takes us.
All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Walt Disney. However difficult life may seem, there's always something you can do and succeed at. Stephen Hawking. People begin to become successful the minute they decide to. Harvey Mackay. It always seems impossible until it is done. Nelson Mandela. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Confucius.
What goes around comes around.
The first Virovore. There's carnivores, omnivores, herbivores, Virovores.
If the virus is attacking the bacteria and everything else, and everything attacks something and eats something, then what eats a virus?
You know, it's funny. In, for fauna, larger creatures, the bigger the creature is, usually it's, the bigger creature wins. The bigger the fish, there's always bigger fish out there.
But lots of little things will always win.
Yeah, well, in these situations, when you go in the micro, it's viruses is smaller than the bacteria. This Virovore is even smaller than the virus. It's like the smaller it is, it keeps killing up. But I guess they do it in mass. They go internally.
If you're smaller than something, you want to be so small that you're not a good meal. So let's say a T-Rex will eat a lion. So you don't want to be a lion that the T-Rex saw. But if you're a tiny little mouse, the T-Rex won't even know you're there. And enough tiny little mice could cause problems for the T-Rex. They could crawl up in the middle of the night and choke it.
Oh, you ever seen Suicide Squad 2, the second one?
No, which is really not the second one. It was the first one.
Yeah.
It was. We're going to introduce this thing again.
Well, they have a giant creature and using mice to... Spoiler alert. Using mice to kill it in the end. Large quantities of the tiny rat.
There's the idea of... they say, how come an elephant is scared of a mouse? And people say that must be a myth. It is not. Elephants have great ears, and mice make lots of loud, high-pitched, irritating sounds. But the elephants don't have very good eyes. And they can't tell where the sound is coming from. It's just this loud, annoying sound, and they have from nowhere. So it does unnerve them.
Did not know that. Okay, we're getting off topic. Tell us about this Virovore.
Well, they figured viruses make good eating. They're basically nucleic acid, lots of nitrogen and phosphorus. There's not much else to them, meaning they're just important components. In fact, they're such pure that people argue whether they're alive or not. So they don't have a lot of extraneous wasted stuff. They don't, that's why they have to use your cell's mechanism for them to reproduce. They are stripped down to the minimum, which means they're good eating. So they just basically figured there must be stuff that eats them. Okay, we know that you accidentally eat them. That's how you get sick. There are viruses in and on things. So you got to realize for every time the virus gives you a cold, there must have been how many trillions of viruses you digested.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, trillions of viruses sounds like enough, but you put them together, you might not even be able to see that. Mm-hmm. So they did these tests where they would put in these haliteria? No,
So
that was what they found. They put in...
It was an algae-based algae, and then the virus that attacks algae, which is chlorovirus.
Okay, that's
freshwater inhabitant of green algae.
So they put in the virus, and then they started saying, tracking what happened in what areas. Is there anything that seems to be thriving under it? And they found that a microbe, a ciliate microbe, I believe that means it moves around with cilia.
Yeah.
So it would look like a centipede, kind of, or like a little body of a cell with a lot of little hairy-like things working as oars. Mm-hmm. And this particular one is called Halteria. Am I pronouncing it right?
Halteria.
Which sounds like a country that Groucho Marx would become the prime minister of. Halteria. And this thing seemed to be eating it. So then they isolated and they put the Halteria and the virus together, and they saw that when they came back, there was nothing else in there for the Halteria to eat. The Halteria multiplied 20 times over, I think it was, and only 1% of the virus mass was left.
Mm-hmm. The 100-fold drop in the chlorovirus and massive increase in Halteria concentration, and bam, we have our first Virovore.
Right, and the thing is, it doesn't mean that this is anything special or unique, because the first time they went looking for it, figuring it must happen in that microenvironment, they found something, which means there must be things like this all over. Because if this was unique, the idea of the first time you're looking, you find it right away, is really unlikely.
So now the question is finding the right Virovore out there for viruses that are detrimental, influenza, whatnot. And then do you...
Well, this would be similar to, and in this case accidental, when they found the fungus that ate the bacteria, and you call it penicillin.
Amazing what nature could do.
Yeah.
You have to be looking in the right spot.
It's unnatural.
Success is survival. Leonard Cohen. There is little success where there is little laughter. Andrew Carnegie. There is no substitute for victory. Douglas MacArthur. They succeed because they think they can. Virgil. It takes 20 years to make an overnight success. Eddie Cantor. Victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. John F. Kennedy.
Cyborg cells can survive where normal bacteria can't.
I think that's cyborg bacterial cells you're talking about then.
Yes, cyborg bacteria.
Roboplop.
Scary a little bit when we start playing God. So they're using synthetic biology now to engineer semi-living?
Well, it depends. They basically... There are different versions. They say they will sometimes take actual features of some, let's say, microbes, bacteria specifically, we're talking now, and give them features of other ones. Sometimes they will actually engineer the feature. Sometimes they'll build a new one from scratch, and now they're talking about putting in something bionic, basically. So in this case... Oh, well...
They're saying they're programmable, so they're not able to divide. But
right. Now, but they first said, because, again, they really gave a very brief description, because they basically said they put in, was it a polymer? Something, and that they kind of injected it, and the bacteria would eventually start using it, and it would become integrated into its outer cell casing, so it would get like a hardened shell. So in theory, that's what they said they did. But they must have done a lot more because they were saying they could control it and things like that. So they basically could, number one, send this to certain places, have it, they could tell it to do certain things they needed it to do. It could survive in environments, high pH temperature, low temperature, that it couldn't survive normally. So they were making almost a robot army, or a robot work crew from these bacteria, but they did say they couldn't reproduce, and which I guess when you're talking semi-alive, you generally say some living things can reproduce. Self-replicate is the, I think, technical term they use, and these no longer could, but they never said they killed them.
Which is concerning. So the idea is that they have them produce drugs, internally, probably vitamins you could have them produce, because they just have it set up that, that's part of their biological function to produce a certain drug or break down
right,
break down
you could
plastic.
Have them do it in environments they normally couldn't survive.
So they break down plastic, store data, which is interesting. What scares me a little bit is as you get a little further in the article, and they talk about they adjusted it, the cyborg cells, to invade lab-grown cancer cells. Oh, that sounds great and wonderful. Uses diagnose diseases, delivering drugs to treat them. All good stuff. Then it talks about, like I said, surviving in areas that other antibiotics could not survive, including, becoming unaffected by antibiotics in any way, shape, or form. So these are, if you could program them to do all these wonderful things, you could also program them to, do bad things, and if you can't kill them...
I'm blanking on the name of the famous actor.
In what?
And a million things, but I'm specifically thinking Jurassic Park.
Jeff Goldblum?
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. Because he's the one who kept warning. He's always in movies warning about something.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff Goldblum. That's okay. Go on.
So, they could do all these great things, and and nothing could stop them, and they're not replicating. But if they're programmed to replicate and they're programmed to do things that aren't good, seems very concerning with this technology being put in the wrong hands.
And even if they are never programmed to replicate and they're not programmed to do anything dangerous, I can just see Jeff Goldblum reprising his Jurassic Park, screaming, "It will reproduce. It will do bad things. Nature will find a way."
Yeah, no, and not that we've had experience as a world lately with something that was created in a lab turning poorly, but continued research in this area is concerning. Breaking down plastic, yay, but I think we already found a bacteria that could break down plastic naturally, so why are we trying to program another cyborg bacteria to do things like this?
Hey, what if you even build something to break down, let's say, plastic in this case, and you lose control of it, and it starts eating all the plastic in the world? And you might find this out where you're in a plane at 30,000 feet, and all of its plastic parts are disintegrating. Not good.
Yeah, I don't want to play that game. And I don't mean I know of Star Trek. I didn't watch enough of it, but cyborg bacteria or the cyborgs, didn't they all
nanos?
Yeah. Didn't they just they try to pretty much eat up every technology and
that it's been done in the comic books also. There was a way back a Justice League cartoon where there was something like that eating everything. This could be 20-something years ago.
Yeah, no, it's just great technology, concerning. It's like a lot of things are just concerning these days.
Hey, and you mentioned Star Trek, even the Wrath of Khan, the Genesis device that was supposed to take a dead planet and rebuild it into a living planet, but it would basically do that process, meaning almost like that it would go over and take every molecule of the planet and reorganize it into what they wanted it to be. And then going, but if you put it on a living planet, everything living there right then is gone because it becomes part of the new reorganized matrix. Ooh.
All right, things are getting a little creepy and morbid here.
Considered this a very dangerous secret weapon the Federation was developing.
If you have no critics, you'll likely have no success. Malcolm X. Success is never accidental. Jack Dorsey. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Susie Kassman. The best revenge is massive success. Frank Sinatra. People are born to succeed, not fail. Henry David Thoreau. Success is the child of audacity. Benjamin Disraeli.
Artificial tongues to make better chocolate. So how are we going to spin that to make it, a little bit weird?
Well, let's first explain to our listeners what we are talking about here. An artificial tongue? And I don't mean, let's say, kind of some of this, I don't want to use name brands, but some of this vegetarian meat products that's supposed to be better than meat, better than this, that you went into a deli and you saw artificial tongue. Hey, can I have an artificial tongue sandwich, please? Yay. With mustard? No, here we're talking a scientific instrument. It is basically a computerized tongue with incredible sensors that can taste and judge textures and analyze molecules way better than your nose and tongue combo can. So this can figure out down to the molecular level what is going on in the chemistry of cooking, how you make something to taste this way, but also the texture. And it can do it not just with a static piece of it, but as you're eating, in this case, chocolate, it goes, the chocolate is changing in your mouth, and that's part of the experience, and this tongue can understand it and figure it out.
The right combination of fats to sugars to proteins to give that right mouthfeel and delicious flavor. So you're
The feel. You said the feel.
Mouthfeel, yep.
You see, timing is everything, not just what's there. We always know timing is everything. Because this tongue, in this case, and this is not morbid and creepy, but in this case, the tongue says, you know what? The way the fats, when you first bite into it and it melts and they change to a creamy texture, and they're going through several different textures, and that's all part of the experience, and it's releasing these flavor molecules. And then it goes, it turns out that a very small percentage of the total fat actually takes place in this process. And then the rest of the fat, now you need a certain percentage of fat for this process to happen. But actually, so you have all this fat throughout the thing, and you're just using the fat that when you is on, let's say on the surface as it's melting.
Yeah.
Okay. And the rest of it just makes you fat. It's actually not neat. So if you lower the percentage throughout, you won't get the experience.
Yeah.
But knowing this, if you could develop one where instead of having this much fat throughout, so you have the fat where you need it, you could just place the fat where you need it.
To give that
and lower
delicious
it every
texture,
place else.
but make it healthier.
Make that taste the same, that every detail of the experience was the same, but for health reasons, it would be better than low-fat, low-sugar chocolate, because every bit of sugar and fat that didn't take part in the experience wouldn't have to be there.
So you get the healthier option in the future that tastes just as good as the unhealthy option.
Everything's just, because a lot of times when you have like a low-fat cupcake, it's not the flavor.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
It's the, that's creepy and morbid. But I could just see, first of all, there's got to be a 1950s horror movie, The Artificial Tongue. And then you'll even get like the bad actress in the romantic scene. Oh, yeah, they were kissing there, but it was so artificial.
And actually, I didn't know that this has been used previously for whiskeys and wines and beers and even teas and juices for a sweetness evaluation. But this is the first time technology is used to understand how chocolate lubricates your mouth to determine fat content.
There you go, using fancy words like that.
An artificial tongue and lubrication. This thing's getting really weird.
Keep it for a general audience. Don't you get creepy. That's my job. But, that's kind of we touched on at the beginning. Things like this have been used, but like with the wine, they're doing it static. We see which chemicals are where in this wine sitting here. Now they moved on to, as it's going big, you are tasting it, things move around and change. So we are getting
But now we're using technology to bring joy to the world, for better chocolate for the children. In which case,
healthier chocolate.
Healthier chocolate so the children don't become fat.
And then more people will be eating more chocolate, and there'll be less for me. You've just described a dystopian future when there's not enough chocolate for me.
Well, we'll have to start. You start hoarding the chocolate now, and then you'll be good for the future.
If I could have the entire world
corner the chocolate market.
Oh, by the way, you are not aware of this yet, but in an upcoming episode,
don't do it.
Don't give a hint.
No, you can.
Don't
I'm
tease
just saying,
anyone.
Don't tell me something I don't want to hear.
Let's just say, one day we'll be talking. Oxytocin is all it's cracked up to be. for those who don't remember, oxytocin is the love hormone, and
Isn't chocolate supposed to increase levels
the
of
only
oxytocin?
known food that increases it. That's why people, even who don't like chocolate, when they are dumped and they're depressed, they suddenly eat chocolate. Even people allergic to chocolate have been known to crave and eat chocolate and get into bad shape because it's like basically drug withdrawal when the oxytocin stops. And you go for the chocolate.
I just force-fed my wife like 6 bars of chocolate till she loved me, so it works.
That if you look at different chocolate bars names, you'll see there's a Hershey's Kiss is a little thing. Then there's a great big family bar.
Yeah, let's say
and then there's those of people who have to deal with Snickers.
What's wrong with the Snickers?
You don't want to get Snickers.
All right.
Mounds Bar, there are so we can't even go down this road.
Yeah, Milky Way's not bad. No.
Or you can go to the Kit Kat Club.
Kit Kats are fun, I guess.
The Chunky. You never know if that's a compliment or an insult when someone. But back on somewhere close to whatever we were talking about. We'll talk about oxytocin in an upcoming episode.
I like it. Don't give too much away. You know, I want our listeners to come back. Yeah, just a teaser. Just enough to give a taste, one might say.
Everyone out there is on the edge of their seat going, when will we get to the oxytocin answer? What episode should I be waiting for? For answer to these and other questions.
Tune in next time.
Or the time after that. We don't know yet.
I'll have to wait and find out. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Look, we appreciate you guys, everyone listening, and all the positive feedback and comments. If you have any questions, please email us at podcast@KINETIQ, KINETIQ, life.com. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell family. As always, I'm your host, Mike Shalavudis.
And I am Mark Hertzberg.
Until next time, we're out.
But wait for it. Bye.
We're sponsored by KINETIQ Renew. KINETIQ Renew is the 4-ounce shot of all natural ingredients that deliver some amazing benefits, like improved mental clarity, long and short-term focus, and improved memory and cognition. Plus, KINETIQ Renew improves mood with the added benefits of anti-stress and anti-anxiety. KINETIQ Renew provides antioxidants and neuroprotection. And all this with no caffeine, no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or colors, and it's only 5 calories. KINETIQ Renew is what you drink to arrive focused and alert, and you won't get that caffeine or sugar crash. Visit KINETIQLife.com today. That's KINETIQ Life.com and try it. Use promo code POD1 for a special 30% discount. That's POD and the number 1, POD1 for a limited time 30% discount. KINETIQLife.com. KINETIQ Life.com. Do it now. Give it a try. You're going to love it. The 30% off is for a limited time, so log on now for the savings. Thank you for listening to the KINETIQ Life Podcast. Catch a new show every other Thursday. You'll find us everywhere you can listen to a podcast. And remember, be safe, have fun, and go for your dreams. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. All comments, jokes, views, and ideas expressed are those of the hosts or guests and do not represent any company or organizations with whom they may be affiliated. Always make sure to consult your own physician before starting any new diet, supplement, or exercise routine. Oh, and there's one more thing. If you're working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Steve Jobs.